Welcome to the Sushiswap Onsen AMA, where we bring on projects that have partnered through the Onsen program and give them a platform to reach a larger audience. Today I'm here with Mike and Filipe from OnX Finance. How are you guys today?
Fantastic.
Great.
Total pleasure to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll just start off with a few questions and give you a little intro here. You can intro to the project and whatnot, and then I can open it up to the audience to ask some questions. So we do have the AMA text questions channel as well. So you can ask questions there via text and we'll read them out as they come in. And we've got keep an eye on those questions. So, but as always, would love people coming up here to ask questions. So be sure to raise your hand and we can get you up here as we get going. So yeah, we'll start off here with a few things and then we'll open it up to the audience. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, maybe just start off here with a bit of intro, background about yourselves and your current involvement with OnX.
Sure. I am Mike, known in the community as OnX Mike. I'm a core contributor. Me and a few others, earlier this year had an idea for OnX. OnX, I should tell you, is kind of the play on words, but OnX the stone plus always on, sort of decentralized. But we had the idea for OnX a while ago, started putting it together, made some really great connections with, places like Anchor, and of course learned a lot from, other projects. And then we got, pretty good at what we were doing and we were able to attract some talent like Filipe, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Yes, thank you. So, on my side, I discovered ONX at the beginning in December last year. I was a community member, and I tried to understand everything what ONX was trying to achieve. And I really got very interested. At the same time, I was really learning deeply about DeFi. And myself, I have a financial background, so I've been investment advisor for more than 8 years in wealth management, mostly in Switzerland. I started to get involved with ONX, and I started to participate as an active community member, bringing ideas, and then I got to know Mike and the other co-founder, CryptoVasta. And then we really got along in terms of what could be the next steps about ONX strategically and what type of product we could do. And I liked it so much that I decided to actually quit my banking job in April. And the intention was to just focus on studying DeFi and continue to help ONX. And at that time, I got actually an offer from Anchor, which I accepted, as it was really in the same direction to what I was trying to help out with ONX. So now I am actually advising ankrETH, which is the internet bond launchpad. So it is a very interesting position to be in, where with ONX we try to design the future fixed income DeFi ecosystem, and we try to come up with solutions that enable users to have additional yield, right, with their tokens. And on the other side, with ankrETH, I need to make sure that the products that we're coming up with, which we launched recently, Avalanche bonds, for example, that have a few unique different features when compared to ETH2 bonds. And we need to make sure that those upcoming products will have utility. So I need to think about ONX and other projects, how other projects can use those internet bonds to bring utility on top of it. So that's where we have then the three pillars of ONX, which is the vault, right? Yield aggregator. It is lending, obviously, where we want to enable people to take leverage and leverage those rewards that they can get. So the staking rewards, but also all the additional layer of rewards that they can get on top of it. And then on Synthetics, which was initially supposed to be an algorithmic stablecoin, which didn't work out as planned in the original design. And then I advised Onex to rethink the product and make it rather a stablecoin backed by internet bonds, where the main feature it will be that the collateral is actually generating yield from the staking rewards, but potentially in the future also farming those internet bonds. So ONX Alpha will be actually an important piece here. And as the collateral is generating yield, you do not necessarily need to require over collateral like in MakerDAO because you have ETH2 bonds that generate yield, and then you can mint on Ethereum, which is a Ethereum stablecoin. And why do you need an Ethereum stablecoin? Well, because that Ethereum stablecoin will enable you to borrow Ethereum stablecoins to buy potentially more internet bonds or more vaults that include internet bonds. And since the collateral of on Synthetics generates yield, you can incentivize the lending supply. And by incentivizing the lending supply, you make borrowing side very actually quite attractive because it will be cheaper to borrow on that side. So that gives basically an alternative source of funding for leveraging ETH2 bonds, for example. So yeah, and I think now the next steps, it will be to combine those three pillars where then we connect on Synthetics with lending, where in the future you will be able to borrow on Ethereum instead of borrowing only Ethereum. You can use leverage with ONX Alpha, hopefully in the future. So that's what we're working on, and hopefully then we can combine the three products where we can end up with some, for example, leverage internet bond certificates, where we are then studying how to offer under collateralized loans using internet bonds and using ONX lending. So
All
that
right.
will be, I
Yeah.
think, the final piece where we connect the three pillars.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. You've
Brilliant summation.
yeah, we've really given a really good overview here on about OnX, and yeah, really appreciate the very thorough part of all that. And like maybe let's take it back and let's just kind of break it down for each of these things. We've kind of hammered everyone with a lot of information on all this. So but yeah, let's even just like going back to just the OnX or like the OnSynth token breakdown. We can kind of let's just start with that kind of piece, and then let's just touch on each of these things as we go here. So yeah, with like the token breakdown and just kind of how that works to bring in OnSynth tokens.
I'll let Filipe take this one.
Yep.
He's definitely the pro at this.
Perfect.
Yeah, sure. So with on Synthetics, so for the moment you can use AETH-C, which is ETH2 bonds from Anchor. So those ones are reward bearing, meaning that they do not distribute staking rewards through rebasing, but at the phase 1.5 of Ethereum 2.0, you will be able to claim more Ethereum than what you initially deposited, and that surplus is the staking reward. So you can deposit into Unvault ETH-C, and then you can claim on Ethereum. So, and then there is a governance token for OnSynthetics. Has OnSynthetics was initially a project within ONX, so OnSynthetics is another token that's the governance token of OnSynthetics specifically. So you can perceive it a little bit like MakerDAO and I. So that's a bit the idea. With the difference where when you mint on Ethereum, it's not like you are borrowing the stable coin because there is no borrowing mechanism. You can just deposit one AETH and you will claim one on Ethereum. What we're trying to improve is to obviously bring utility to on Ethereum, and that utility will come through lending. So that's why we're trying to connect on Synthetics with ONX lending.
Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about like Ethereum Ethereum 2 ETH on, on ETH 1, or like on the first layer, a lot of people may be familiar with like Lido. How is what you guys have going on here with the OnX Ethereum? How does that compare, or is that different to what Lido has going on?
So I will say that Lido has been doing a great job into growing very fast and attracting as well, larger investors and institutional investors, and they've been very aggressive in growth, and also doing lately very interesting partnerships to add utility on top of their stETH. And they have initially stETH is the rebasing token. Anchor took a different approach where the initial focus was more for DeFi users. So I will say that the average ETH staked amount per user is lower for Anchor than for Lido Finance. And the idea was more to start as an experiment, and then help out other projects to bring utility on top of those internet bonds. And Onex is one of the strategic partnerships where Anchor helped initially to set up the project with advice and some human capital resources. But Anchor did not receive any pre-minted ONX tokens or anything like that, as ONX was a fair launch, and all the tokens that are being distributed, they're giving out to the community exclusively. So that's I think one of the difference. Anchor as well started with so AETH, so it's reward bearing bonds. So that one is not rebasing, right? It's accumulates and holds the rewards instead of distributing it.
Yeah. Okay.
That has a few advantages because it tends to be a bit more stable product when you provide liquidity, for example.
Sure.
And then we Anchor launched as well now a few months ago AETH-B. So that one is a reward earning bond where it is more similar to stETH from Lido through rebasing.
Cool.
Yeah, it is funny that now Lido also now did the wrapped stETH, right? Where they try then to accumulate the rewards and wrap them instead of distributing them through rebasing, to be able to list stETH into more dexes, for example. So yeah, now I guess Lido Finance has two versions of ETH2 bonds and Anchor as well.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'd also like to add on the higher up from that. I see in the AMA text questions, someone's asking the advantages of ONX over the platform as Lido or Lido. I just want to say that obviously ONX itself as a platform is much more likely to incorporate something like Lido, and it's certainly not a competitor to, right? It's going in a whole different direction with our three pillars, and we're trying to bring together, a structure of DeFi that sort of feeds into itself. Just wanted to make sure we touched on that. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's great. That's amazing. Thank you.
That's a very good point. ONX ultimately is a hub for any reward generating tokens. So it might be LP tokens, internet bonds. So it is not only serving one specific purpose for one specific internet bond. The objective ultimately is to enable any let's say DeFi user that doesn't necessarily have expert knowledge about finance and DeFi to be able to get the compounding effect of adding multiple rewards on top of each other through DeFi strategies, and not take the burden of doing those strategies themselves. Then they can just use the vaults, for example.
Got it. Yeah. And so as we're talking here about all these all the products here that we've got, and compounding with vaults and everything here too. Let's maybe go back and like internet bonds. That's kind of a new word for a lot of people. They may have some questions around that too. When you say internet bonds, what are you like? Could you maybe just clarify what internet bonds mean from OnX?
Yeah, sure. So, the term internet bond is it was actually invented by two members or former members of Consensus. They wrote a white paper last year, last year about that, and then that term was used again end of last year by Bankless. And that was a term defined to describe the ETH2 staking mechanism. I think Anchor and Lido, they are basically making that concept of internet bonds a real thing, and something tangible, and not only a theoretical concept. I will say that the difference is that most other, let's say, ETH2 bonds providers, they call it rather liquid staking or staking derivatives.
Right.
At Canker, we prefer to call that internet bonds, since we're building other internet bonds for other protocols such as Avalanche, Polkadot, Polygon, and others. And here there is different features that we want to highlight. And the only feature is not only to provide liquidity, which is the main need for ETH2 bonds, right? Because you cannot unstake at any time. But for other blockchains, you can unstake, and you have usually a lockup period between 7 to 28 days. So that brings a very interesting new dynamic into those internet bonds for Avalanche, for example, where you can unstake, and then you just need to wait a few days or a few weeks until you get the fair value of your internet bond. So that basically means that you can buy those internet bonds at a discount in the secondary market, and then you can unstake and get the fair value out of it.
Right.
So that brings arbitrage opportunities, for example. That's one of the main features. And obviously, I think the most important is to enable staking rewards to be connected to DeFi, and then allow anyone to add multiple layer of rewards on top of staking rewards by tokenizing the value of staked tokens, such as ETH2 bonds and other protocols.
Right. Cool. And so when we're talking about synthetics and synthetic assets and staked assets, a lot of people may also be familiar with synthetics or SNX, for example. How is there's like some similarities and differences between that as well with what you're offering here?
Yeah, I think the difference on synthetics, and we're actually considering maybe a change of name to reflect better what it is. I will say that if on Ethereum, for example, from on synthetics was about saying deposit 50% in ETH bonds and 50% in ONX, that will be probably something a little bit more similar to synthetics. However, here it is 100% collateralized by ETH to internet bonds. So it is the collateral is basically almost 1-to-1. Obviously, those internet bonds can be traded at a small discount. Sometimes it is traded at a 5 or 10% discount. But I will say that intrinsically it is backed by a token that comes from the same nature, and not another token that is not intrinsically correlated with what it's trying to replicate.
Okay, cool. So we just want to bring in a couple of questions here from AMA text questions here with the recent avalanche. Avalanche of hacks in the DeFi space. I thought they were referring to.
Yeah, I saw this one. So this is great. We actually put a lot of thought into this. Most of what we do is always based on sort of boilerplate, tried and tested underlying code. And on top of that, obviously, we do get audits and we have peer reviews. We want as many people to look for exploits as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we actively do is if we see something, that we already know has a vulnerability to, say, flash loans, we stay away from that entirely. We actually even worked with Anchor to get our own price beacon set up, for their stETH, just to make sure that we wouldn't have any open exploits to someone using like some small Uniswap pool, to alter price and affect any sort of exploit like that. So while we obviously can't guarantee anything, as we're all building experimental stuff, we take every extra step possible to make sure that we're not exposing anyone to risk. As much as we want to innovate, we know you can probably go through our group and see that people are probably complaining more about us taking our time releasing stuff. But for us, that's a benefit where we have time to test it properly and have other people review it, and also look for cousins in the wild that may have been exploited or may be open to exploit. And we've actually, I'm not going to name any names, but this has happened, and we've made pivots instantly away from such products, just to ensure that we're doing everything we can to protect. Once again, is anything 100% in the experimental realm? No. Something could be left open that we don't see, but we take as much precaution as we can. We're certainly not flying by the seat of our pants, if that makes sense.
Well, good. Hopefully that answers that question there. And another one shortly after that being, there are a lot of acronyms and terms that I'm just going to say boomer. That's like when we see 50 plus, that should just be, we're going to say boomer, and
Those guys are taking a lot of crap these days.
I know. Poor boomers,
I am really glad. I have to say, I got into Bitcoin late 2010, early 2011. I was starting to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought my mom in about a year after that. So absolute credit to anyone, that's 40, 50 plus and is exploring these things. It's well worth the while.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hope they'll understand is that we just came from a phase of blockchain and crypto before DeFi, where it was almost exclusively deep, Forex and options traders and deep developers were the whole community.
Yep.
So we do recognize that this is a turning point, that we're reaching that peak of bringing in retailers and average people who just want to explore this sector, and they now have the tools to, they now have the wallets and the ability to really use their phone to get into this. So we respect that, and we are absolutely looking at full upgrades across the board to make this more friendly to people who don't, who weren't here for the history of blockchain, who are just now arriving through the use of their cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looking into, developing straight apps, whether it's for OnX or whether it's for a piece of it to allow access, still to be determined. But we're absolutely going to revamp our website and our papers and our Gitbook and everything else to, with an eye out for the noobs.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. And okay. If there's anybody that has questions as well from the audience, please raise your hand and we'll get you up on stage. I always like it when we have people up here looking to ask questions and engaging that way. So please don't be shy.
I think there is a question for stETH.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
If we will add the vault related to that. So I think like with stETH, they had only liquidity, mostly on OnX Finance, and now they're spreading out to other dexes. So for ONX, and when you design a vault, you need to basically think about the DEX that you want to support and how you want to enable your compounding strategy. So if it is on Sushiswap, that's definitely something that we will consider, since ONX, despite my involvement with ankrETH, is agnostic, and Mike and CryptoVasta obviously are always here to make sure that I'm not biased in what I try to advise. So that's definitely something that will be be under consideration if there is a farming for stETH, and I think it will be launched soon, right? Maybe you can correct me, Tangle.
Not 100% on that, but no, that's good. We'll keep looking into that. So
Yeah, obviously we are so lucky to have Filipe with us. He is such a wealth of knowledge, and he took our strategies light years ahead. He was able to look into the heart of this project, take his experience, and say, guys, let me help you skip a few steps on the way you're going here, and we've arrived at some, groundbreaking stuff. The way we're tying all this together in the end is going to be just phenomenal.
Beautiful. No, that's wonderful to hear. And just listening to Filipe's story there early on, it sounded like it was kind of in a community engagement type situation, and I love to hear that when community members just dive in and get involved, and beautiful things come from that. So
and SUSHI was so great that way, such a beacon, because it attracted such amazing talent from its community, and we've managed to do the same. And I think it speaks for projects that can do that, because it means you've inspired someone.
Exactly.
Even if we didn't have as great a picture without Filipe until he joined us, he still saw enough that he thought, man, I want to get involved. I want to coach these guys. I want to show them some tricks, and boy, has it paid off.
Yeah. Amazing. So, yeah. Is there any other questions here we could look at right now? So what is the benefit of having the value of a collateral token be intrinsically tied to the value of OnSynthetics token, minted to leverage staking rewards? Seems like could be a novel idea to eliminate liquidation risk when the market crashes. Filipe, can you kind of take us away?
I think there is one specificity with ONX lending, and also maybe related to OnSynthetics. But for ONX lending, so that we're not vulnerable to flash loans, the collateral is assessed not based on the market value, but it is assessed with the fair value of internet bonds. So that makes it a much safer product in terms of flash loan attacks. Maybe if you make an analogy with maybe with real estate, it's as if you decide to buy let's say a property or a piece of land, and you agree that the minimum fair value that it should be, it should never drop more than 25%. And if it ever does, don't worry, we have like a lease buyback in our agreement, and someone is going to be committed to buy it back at fair value from you. If that ever occurs, it might not happen like in one specific day when you need it, but that you have that backup where you can get that. And for Ethereum 2.0, it will be when people will be able to unstake, right? They will be able then to get back the fair value of their token. So that's a little bit the thought behind that. I'm not sure if that replies entirely to the question, but yeah, basically there is not really liquidation risk because we are it is tied to its fair value. The only liquidation risk that might happen is if you hold that for like many, like I don't know, much more than 1 year at least, that the interest that he's due starts to become so high that it reaches we have like a 90% liquidation risk value. So if your unpaid interest starts to be too big, that might be something that might happen, but it's very, very unlikely to happen in the next few months.
Yeah. Okay. Well, perfect. I'm glad to hear that there's some safeguards in place, and with any of this stuff, we are taking on risks, but it sounds like you guys are doing everything you can to kind of mitigate those risks. So that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to talk now about one thing that kind of caught my eye was like how you guys are like utilizing the like with farming these tokens and whatnot, and bringing out like, just maybe explain this a little bit too, because it almost seemed like we were doing leveraged yield farming. Kind of break that down for us.
Oh, you mean like what I can describe what we're trying to do, like what we're doing right now specifically, and then I can explain you what do we plan to do with the leverage yield farming. So what we do specifically now, right, is like users are expected to deposit the SLP token, so the Sushiswap liquidity pool token, right, from, let's say, wrapped Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you have your SLP token, you deposit it in the vault. So what we're going to do, so or more specifically, the smart contract is going to farm the SLP token on Sushi. It's going to get Sushi tokens, and those Sushi tokens are going to be staked, and then you're going to accumulate periodically more XSUSHI. At the same time, we also distribute ONX farming rewards, and those ONX farming rewards are also staked, so that's then you start accumulating SONX, which is similar to XSUSHI. So basically, those vaults are not made in a way where we're dumping the farm tokens like some other yield aggregators do. We are incentivizing the user to continue to hold Sushi and to keep it and to stake it to get compounding. So the compounding comes from staking the farm token and not by dumping the farm token and reinvesting it in the liquidity pool. Which is something that other vaults tend to do. I'm not saying all of them, but some are doing that with leverage. So there is one possibility that we're looking into. So we're working on ONX Lending V2, and ONX Lending V2 is aimed to enable under collateralized loans. Because what is possible right now with ETH2 bonds that have 75% loan to value, so is that you can deposit 10 ETH bonds, you can borrow 7.5, so 75% of 10, but then you can buy more ETH2 bonds, right, which increases your collateral, and then you borrow more because your collateral increased, and you repeat that loop. So that's called credit multiplier for those familiar to banking. And if you repeat that loop, you will realize that you can end up having 3x leverage if you do that, meaning that instead of having 10 ETH bonds, you end up having 30 ETH bonds. However, that's very inefficient in terms of gas fees on Ethereum, right? So by combining ONX Alpha and combining lending, we are trying to come up with a design where the vault itself has somehow a special connection with the lending contract where it can get immediately the 3x leverage without repeating that loop very often. So that makes any user using the V1 version of lending to save a lot of gas fees by using the ONX Alpha that will use lending in the future. And here you can do it in basically two ways. One way might be to offer some sort of single token vault where you can just say, I'm depositing um, well, let's say stETH, right, from Lido Finance, right? So you deposit stETH, and then what the vault will do is it will go to ONX Lending V2, and it will say, hey, give me the same amount of what I have here in stETH, and give me ETH. So I want to borrow ETH. And then you end up having 10 stETH and 10 ETH that you just borrowed. And then you provide liquidity, you get the SLP token. And when you have the SLP token, you invest in an existing ONX Alpha Vault so that you get very easily and quickly all that compounding farming rewards. So that might be a way to reach, well, you basically have the same benefits of the existing vaults, but since you borrow the same amount, so you have a leverage of 2. So you get 2 times the rewards that you will typically have. You make it easier because you're just depositing one single token, right? So it looks like a staking deposit somehow, right? A bit more complex, and you need to disclose the risks behind, obviously. Another design that we're looking into is maybe a bit more aggressive in terms of leverage, but if we increase a little bit more the loan to value ratio, let's say to 80%, for example, is to find a way to come up with the leverage of 4x, meaning you deposit 10 ETH, and then you get immediately 40. AETH. So, and then the vault token that you get after depositing into that vault, well, you can call it a vault token, but you can also call it a leverage internet bond certificate that gives you 4x ETH2
Oh, wow.
bonds and 3x short ETH. So you're leveraging just the staking rewards, the discounts, and all the compounding effect eventually. Well,
Wow.
probably it will be better to instead of being like 4x long AECC or stETH, it will be better, I guess, to put half in ETH, in stETH, and half keep it in Ethereum, so that you put it in the liquidity pool, and then you get all those farming rewards and staking rewards on top of farming rewards. You will probably have more. So we did a few tests, and with that design, we could end up having 40% APY, for example, with the current APYs of different strategies available out there. Obviously, until we come up with that design, the APYs will be different. They will probably be lower, but that's why it is important to use leverage smartly, because you can enhance yields in a smart way without leveraging the market risk of the tokens itself, right? If you will borrow USDC to buy more Ethereum, you will end up having a liquidation if
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum drops, significantly versus USDC.
Got it. Got it. Well, you sort of got it, but wow, that's
Yeah, for anyone who said that was over, 3 words: DeFi is magic.
yeah, DeFi is magic. Like this is just big brain degen levering up. It's
Oh,
like
it's so good.
wow,
And
this
I hope
is
everyone can tell how lucky we are, with our brain trust here at ONX. Because guess what? For those that don't know it, for those that haven't caught on to what's going on yet, something like Sushi is going to be a Dow Jones of the future, right? It's going to be something that's just taken for granted. And something like ONX is going to be like Marilyn Lynch. You have to remember it. At one point, there was Merrill and Lynch sitting in a building they could barely afford rent on, putting their shingle out.
yep.
And now we take it for granted as an institution.
Yeah.
We are building those future institutions now. And if anyone that's paying attention can see that there are some amazing projects
Just
being built,
absolutely
right under our noses.
Absolutely. And just seeing the real driver towards like value extraction and just rinsing everything out of everything that we possibly can is it's really impressive to see that these tools are now being available to, I mean, there is a barrier of entry to get into crypto, but like it's available to anybody that wants it rather than just.
And we're going to lower that barrier.
Yeah.
I think so many of us are now committed to it because we see, that this is attainable. And we need to take bankless from being a negative term to being the goal.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong there.
Opinion.
Not wrong. Yeah. So, no, cool. Yeah, I've heard of some other people saying like the unbankable. I can't remember if that like is applicable here, but we're just
we need to make the goal being unbankable. We don't need this. I want to see Visa and everyone else playing catch up. As they launch their own DeFi projects far too late.
Well,
I love disruption, of course.
Of course. So, cool. Yeah, if anybody wants to get up on stage here, please, and ask some questions. I know this is we've really gone into some deep stuff here, and we're so fortunate to have like this big brain stuff going on here. But let's
also see a few questions coming in the text chat. So first of all, let me just say for everyone, if you're kind of confused on what a vault is, this is just a contract or a system of contracts that allows someone to deposit a token, or maybe the LP of 2 tokens put together, the liquidity provided of 2 tokens put together. And that allows them to earn, right, through either auto compounding features or simply, selecting the most profitable from a series of possible options at a time. It's pretty simple. It's like passive income. You commit your tokens or whatever you have, and then that's used within a larger system and moved around and added to. Also, you have the benefit because especially on Ethereum, network, there's some high fees. So if people pool together, each time you auto compound, everyone's paying less and less because the fee is the same for the auto compounding, whether it's $1 million or $100. So you might as well spread that fee across a bunch of people. And if you want to know more about vaults, obviously, talk to in the chats with Sushi and with Onex, and we can certainly give you more details on that.
Perfect. Yeah. What else?
Oh, and I see one asking about my background. So my background is in IT, which is why I was able to identify Bitcoin as a network and not anything else. And since at the time I was dabbling in Forex and options trading, it really was just the perfect storm to open my eyes and really see the potential. And, I jumped onto the early altcoins, Namecoin, Feathercoin, WorldCoin, anything people came up with. Because once again, I understood the potential.
Man, I haven't heard people say Namecoin since BTCE.
Oh, dude, my friend, that was the only place to trade altcoins. It was amazing. Us dinosaurs are rare these days. I think a lot of people cashed out and ran, but man, I'm addicted to the whole game theory. This expanding DeFi experience is just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing, the way we have the potential to displace so much infrastructure that we take for granted now, but that we're now seeing is totally optional.
Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, but nostalgic there to hear Namecoin and Peercoin, NMC and PPC. Incredible. Feathercoin.
First run up to $12 on LTC, where everyone was losing their minds.
Incredible. Oh yeah, and then got robbed by the feds. Sad times. Did you end up getting robbed in BTCE?
No, I had moved on from BTCE to Binance, and it was all coincidence. I was at the time with Binance, I was taking just as big of a risk because they were nowhere near the Leviathans they are today. But I just liked their interface, so it was all coincidence.
Oh wow, yeah.
I did get caught in. I don't know if you remember the Cryptsy way back in the day.
That was my first. Big Vern was my first. Big Vern was my first.
I would own an asteroid now in the Dogecoin I had on Cryptsy.
Oh my god, yeah. I'd lost it in Dogecoin was like a tough one for me back then too, because Cryptsy got me. And all my I was going into so many different mining pools, and it was they were charging large fees to pull out. So you're I'll just wait in here.
You can't do that backwards math; it'll kill you. I did it once on my BTC dust on wallets I had just thrown out.
Yeah.
And I had to quit after $1 million.
Yeah. It's just So, oh my goodness. Anyways, fun to talk about that kind of stuff. As painful as it is, it's nice to hear it because.
Always nice to talk with another OG.
So, yeah. Anyway, okay. There was I'm going back to Harda Siegel here with a lot of CeFi stuff. With all those fixed term deposit staking rewards, yada yada. Broader thoughts. What can be done to bring something new to and also avoid DeFi becoming CeFi 2.0? I'm not really. I don't know if we're really going towards CeFi 2.0. Are we?
No, honestly, I think we're gaining momentum in the other direction. And once again, these questions about asking people to break our websites down for noobs, that's what's letting me know. When you have people who really don't have any inside expertise and they're willing to put real money into these things and experiment, that's a powerful choice right there.
Agreed. So
maybe the CeFi, DeFi stuff, maybe there is a few large projects, right, where governance is pretty much led by institutional investors. That's obviously spend their working time, right, making very awesome proposals with a lot of interesting thoughts and background. So some, I guess maybe that might be a risk, right, that institutional investors end up buying those governance tokens, and then they start making proposals that lead those projects into a certain direction. I'm not sure. I believe it's still different than CeFi, but maybe it is a risk for ONX. I think like we don't really have like one specific whale. The token holders are very distributed. I think it's easy to find out on Etherscan. So I'm very excited to see when we will enable ONX governance. So I think that will likely happen when we connect those three pillars together to finalize what we had in mind for the vision. Well, then I think that also replies to one of the questions: what type of decisions the holders can have. That might be, for example, if there is stETH on Sushiswap, I propose that we should add it. So if it is something that technically we can implement rather quickly, that's typically something that will be subject to governance. If there is a proposal saying, I believe that the loan to value for ETH borrowing should be 80% instead of 75%, well, that's also something that can be changed rather quickly to make the product more in line with the community's intentions.
Yeah.
I think if there is like new products that the community wants us to build, probably that will be something that we should then discuss in a forum, like in a governance forum, right? Because that will take then obviously more time. And if it is someone with a great experience and insights and has a very specific idea, then it's something that we need obviously to discuss in more detail
Mm-hmm.
to build up a new product. And I think
Yep.
that's I mean, I'm the proof, right, that this is possible, right?
Well,
Because you can
Absolutely.
really
absolutely.
member have an idea and then you end up being part of the team
Yep.
to help the project grow.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean that's
Well,
super.
your wisdom was undeniable.
And I mean, it's also a very familiar thing here at Sushiswap as well. I mean, we've got our forum there, and we just finished voting on 5 proposals as of recently. So, great to have the community engagement with that and the community efforts to grow that. So, we are seeing positive sentiment around that and positive feedback, and just seeing how involvement makes a huge difference, and it's a beautiful thing. So. I
Because
know
we're building DeFi for the DeFi users ultimately, right? We
mhm.
need to build those platforms for the users.
Yep. Yep. I know we're getting close to the hour here, and I know you guys need to run shortly, so we'll try wrap this up in the next little bit here. But I just wanted to touch on some of the farms going on at SUSHI. We've got, how many farms do you guys have right now, or what's because there's a few things happening. There's the OnX wrapped ether, is it? Or what? Yeah. Just kind of maybe Filipe, if you don't mind, just telling us
Yeah,
about
sure.
those.
So now there is the ONX ETH Sushiswap liquidity pool, wrapped Bitcoin Ethereum liquidity pool, ETH USDC, and ETH USDT. Yeah, by the way, there is great API right now for ETH USDC and ETH USDT. And we're planning to launch in the next 24 hours if everything goes well. Sushi ETH SLP and X Sushi ETH SLP as well.
Nice, cool.
And for next week, we will then enable ankrETH SLP and AETH SLP, and then we have a few other ones from major projects like OnX Finance ETH. Aave ETH. So we're planning to have overall 15 in that
Geez, wow.
first batch of SushiSwap liquidity pool
Perfect.
tokens that can be farmed and where we can use the existing strategy to enable people to get that compounding yield in an easy way.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, that's so great to hear. So, no, thank you. Thank you. People are super cool to see you're bringing so much liquidity and extra cool things here to Sushi. So, I'm very appreciative of that. So, One kind of final question. Can you talk more about tokenomics and value accrual?
I just saw that
Yeah.
someone's in love with Filipe here. They're like, can you talk? Can you tell us some more? I really like the way you talk. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I like it too.
Yeah, so tokenomics is interesting because like in the beginning, the idea and the token supply of ONX, it was to distribute all the tokens to the community within 12 months. So that's something it's that in the code, we cannot change it, and that's just how it is for the moment. So as I joined a little bit later, so it is something that it is a big priority for me, is to think about the ONX tokenomics after. So if I'm not mistaken, that should be around end of November or early December, where the basically the circulating supply of ONX will be equal to the total supply, right? And I think in terms of valuation, it is very interesting. There is a few projects, right, that tend to have a very low circulating supply, right, and they have huge market cap. But then if you look at their fully diluted valuation, which is the price of the token versus the total supply, you will realize that the valuation is insane, right? And for ONX, it seems to me fundamentally rather undervalued because, the inflation will basically stop at some point, right? Because we cannot distribute more tokens. So one option will be to use the vault fees that we're charging, which is 10%. And to have like a buyback program for ONX, and eventually even burning it. So one idea is to make ONX potentially truly deflationary. So that's an option on the table, and it's not like deflationary like we're talking with the ETH2, right? Where um, there is token supply that is unlimited, and then there is a burning mechanism. So here is really deflationary on a net perspective. So that's one option that we have on the table. Probably will be a mix, right? We want to then continue to incentivize specific products, right? So if we generate revenues and we come up with a new product, we want to have some reserves, right, to incentivize those new products. Another another use case, it will be to, as I mentioned earlier, uh, borrowing Ethereum to buy more Ethereum bonds is something that is being used a lot by the community. And at some point, we had our lending contracts that were at full capacity. And when you have a product that is in very high demand, but you do not have enough resources to enable more out of it, right? So it is limited by the ETH supply, the ETH lending supply. What do? Either you increase your interest rate a lot to make that product so expensive that people will stop using it because it's just becoming too expensive and it doesn't make sense. So that will be typically the borrowing interest of Ethereum is much higher than ETH staking rewards, or you increase the barrier to entry. So how do you increase the barrier to entry? Well, you can say you need to hold, I don't know, 1,000 ONX tokens, 5,000 ONX tokens, or whatever, if you want your access to a specific product, right? So those leverage vaults, they will be very demanding in terms of borrowing Ethereum. So those products typically will be very good candidates to be rather premium products that you can access if you have a certain amount of ONX tokens. Because if everybody uses it, well, then we will never have enough Ethereum to fuel all that lending demand.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Hopefully that answers that question. Yeah, you're very,
Nice.
yeah, you're very thorough with all your
Man,
things.
my brain's still on fire. Every time he opens up, it's so amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
And I now see, can you give a way to repay borrowings in either platform, free up underlying collateral to move it to your vaults in a single click? You have also set my brain on fire, and now that's all I'm going to think about for the rest of the day.
Boom.
So we'll get back to XY Zashu soon on that.
Wicked deal. Wicked deal. Yeah, I don't know. This has been a really great AMA here, you guys. Like so much big brain stuff. Incredible to see where this whole ecosystem is headed, and especially what you guys got going on here. So really appreciate that. I think it's a great place to wrap up.
Yeah, and thanks so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely,
in the forum.
you guys.
Obviously, we're groupies for DeFi, so we love talking about it in any form.
Yeah, perfect. Any last things you guys want to share? Any extra alpha leaks or anything before we take off here?
I'll just say that no ONX will be here. Get involved, whether it's just for educational purposes or with the vaults. You don't even have to be an ONX holder to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Just get involved. We're trying to be, an open place for new people into DeFi. We curate our Telegram and Discord and everything, and try to answer questions, no matter how basic they are, 24/7. So
Perfect.
We just want to see more people freeing themselves up.
Yep. Good to hear. Good to hear. So website and socials, how do people find you?
OnX.finance.
Nice.
And then there you'll see quite obviously all our socials where you can reach us.
Perfect. And Discord being your main one, or
absolutely.
where are you guys at?
Actually, we find that our Telegram is our main place. However, that worked out.
Perfect.
Obviously, we love Discord, but Telegram, really, we have our biggest community there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it migrates in the future, as things change. Just as we got these questions, new people entering the field, we'll see where they take us, right?
Yep. Perfect. So, all that can be found at onx.finance. And find out anything else with the with your guys' platform and protocol and what's happening there. So cool. Check that out. Just wanted to mention, if you've been in the room for 15 minutes or more, you will have been logged, and it looks like the logging is working quite well today. So I'm hoping we don't have any issues, and everybody should be able to claim their POAP. So POAP for this will be made up. I'll have the room open in a little bit. I think I've got it closed right now. I'll open it up and we can test it out and make sure that that's working. So please do not hammer that channel. Go gently on it. I'm going to continue to repeat that because the bot hasn't broken yet. We haven't broke it, so we're going to try and keep Master POAP v2 running as smoothly as possible. So you have 30 days to claim your POAP. So no rush on it, but if you can kind of ease it in over the next couple of days, I appreciate it, rather than everybody hammering in there as soon as the room opens up. So appreciate that. And this has been recorded and will be posted up on YouTube for the Sushi official channel, so you can go back and check it out there. There's a lot of big brain stuff from Filipe, so you may want to listen to this one again. So I'll have that up shortly today here. And with anything else, follow me on Twitter, 0xtangle, with all of the next AMAs and events happening. We've also got sesh going on in our Discord, so go to the calendar channel, which is just underneath announcements over on the left hand side there. One of the very first things at the top there, Sushiswap, and you'll see announcements and calendar. Go to calendar and you can set up you'll see the events. Just click a check mark, sesh sends you a message, and then hit the alarm clock and it'll give you a reminder notification. So it seems to be working quite well. And oh my goodness, you look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you guys are looking in AMA text questions, but
one of my favorite memes.
Anybody got any more of them POAPs? Oh, geez. Okay, everybody, this has been great. I'm going to let you guys run. Appreciate everyone and all that's happened here. So, thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, reach out to Filipe or Mike. And
absolutely. And thanks for all the questions today, man. You gave us a great platform.
Awesome.
Appreciate the whole community, everyone, and fantastic hosting. Tangle, you're obviously a pro.
Hey,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.